How you doing, guys? ZDEyE here. So, as you know, my channel usually, it caters around mainly PlayStation content and PlayStation, all things. But occasionally, I like to do videos that are outside of that. In this case, we are obviously talking about Redfall and what the hell is going on with Microsoft, or should I say Xbox in this case, right? And yeah, I have been kind of tuning into all the news and information regarding the acquisition with the Activision Blizzard, like with the blockage that's happened with the CMA, and also a mention of like they will not be able to acquire them for the next 10 years. It's actually quite insane, in fact. And also, like, regarding that Redfall, when it did come out, things like, as a recording, this video came out yesterday, and so after looking up and seeing how Metacritic has been going, and regarding of my trusted reviews that I trust and that have very good credibility, and, have sharing similar opinions and, the reactions towards Redfall's release and, just their general reviews. And as such, yeah, basically the game is warranted of getting very, very bad reviews. Like at the Metacritic currently, it's like around 60, on a high end of 63, and the low end goes even 57, 58, and it's just insane, absolutely. Well, the thing is, if it would have been any other game out there coming from Microsoft, it would not be just nothing new. It's nothing original. It's nothing really mind-blowing. That's just like a shock or surprise that too many of us, right? Because Microsoft is known now. They're just proven themselves again. Look, guys, what I'm about to mention before I proceed, I'm not bashing or ranting on Microsoft, Xbox, Redfall even, or like what's been going on in terms of their games, like Bethesda even included, as well as Arcane Studios, because like they just dropped the ball completely. We have to agree to that fact, right? Because like there's so many things that they've done wrong here. It's insane to say that can they even pull this back up, and it seems like they unfortunately cannot. Now, Starfield is the only game that rides on all the hope, should I say, for Microsoft, Xbox, Bethesda included, and it's just like, what is even going on? It's a scary thought. It genuinely is, because like after the Redfall's release, and being that it's been delayed multiple times, internally once, and I think one and the other time also publicly, because I think it was supposed to come out last year, but then was delayed to, now I guess, since it relaunched finally. And look how it turned out to be, then the state it's actually in as well. Because like, not just that the game is in a buggy mess, or just the game is unfinished, but the game overall, in general, is not a good game at all. Like, the only one redeeming factor or quality is just the sound of the guns, how they fire. It can be somewhat of an interesting looking world. I say, not in terms of the graphics though, and maybe some of the character designs, but that's really it. And you would definitely expect this from many other games. And even if the game being developed by a very small studio, even with like two people can create something even better looking designs and better worlds, because the engines that we have now and the developers that can utilize, you can make far more beautiful worlds and the beauty within there, right? But that's just the thing. This is coming from Microsoft with the publishing, right? Because the amount of money that they've got, they're a company worth of, trillions of dollars, right? It's insane, absolutely. And then you have Arcane, a very, very trusted and very credible and loved studio that pretty much have done no wrong except maybe once. And I'll say that, for example, for me, Deathloop, I didn't enjoy it. I made a video about that. I said that Arcane Studio is going down the hill. I said grace, from grace to fall, basically, and I was right about every word of anything that has been mentioned. Deathloop was already kind of a little bit of an indication that, okay, it seems like something is wrong here. It's not the similar quality that you would expect from Arcane Studios. And then they completely dropped the ball with the Redfall, and that's just an indication how a good studio that you trust and believe can really, really kind of like crush your expectations to such a low point. It's insane, right? It's not as if we haven't seen this before. Like, look, the Respawn Entertainment dropped the ball, especially with the performance and the polish of Jedi Survivor, but also we know as a fact like CD Projekt Red, how they dropped the ball with Cyberpunk 2077. There's many other games like that, unfortunately. And you see, the trend with this case is just that you think that these developers, these publishers, they're actually learning from the mistakes from others. But no, unfortunately, they are not. and they just keep repeating them again and again and again. EA, in this case, Battlefield 2042, I believe, right? And it's been a while since I played or even freaking talked about Battlefield or even looked up the news. But anyway, basically, that dropped the ball when it released. Battlefield 4 was a complete broken mess at the beginning when it came out. And that dropped the ball as well. I think it was Battlefield 5 as well. That was a bit of a problem. Battlefield 1 was like the most recent and the best Battlefield that was actually on day one. Was really genuinely good. I absolutely loved Battlefield 1. Battlefield 5 included as well. After when it finally was fixed, I actually enjoyed it as well. But Cyberpunk in this case, like, you know, if we have to talk about games outside of scope of like Arcane Studios, like Cyberpunk at first when it launched, it has a fantastic foundation. It genuinely does. But because of a broken mess that it was in, it's just unfortunate, right? And now that the game has been already released for like 2, coming up to 3 years, it's in a fantastic shape and it's a brilliant game. You definitely should try it out and play it, and I cannot wait for the expansion to come out, the Phantom Liberty. And now that the Jedi Survivor is happening once again, it's just insane. That game has got many bugs and issues and glitches, but that can be ironed out because it already has a good foundation. Redfall, on the other hand, well, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem like it has any foundation at all to stand on, to have a good foundation so you can actually enjoy the game and know for the future that it will have a longevity, because at this point it doesn't seem like it will have that longevity that I'm mentioning it. And as such, you see, when I'm looking at Redfall and I'm looking at Microsoft Xbox, it's like, and it's been mentioned once already, it's like they're trying to be second tier. They're trying to be behind PlayStation. I thought that Xbox wanted to be more or less of a competitor, like, you know, have a competition between PlayStation and Xbox, right? That's what my thoughts were genuinely. But now it seems like it may not be the case, because the Game Pass, and I gotta say, guys, the Game Pass is the main issue with this case. I really do believe that the Game Pass is a big problem, because that the studio, the developers are looking at the Game Pass, they knowing for a fact that, okay, whatever, we'll just get the game out, whatever it is, doesn't matter, we'll generate the hype with marketing and stuff before the game's launch, people are still gonna play it. We're gonna get our money, our paycheck. It's not gonna be a problem because we're already under Microsoft's wings, so we're not gonna be having any issues. And as such, because this kind of mindset, they're not going to bother making good games. Now, that's a scary thought, because, oh shit, what about Starfield? Because remember Todd Howard, how he mentions in his last interviews, he said like he can enjoy his games in 30 FPS. It's like, what the hell are you on about? Standard should be 60, not 30. It's actually like unbelievable that the thought process was okay to have Redfall on 30 FPS at launch with that shitty ass graphics that looks like ass. It genuinely does. Now sure, art style could carry, but the problem is it just doesn't. You know, like art style that has a cool art style, I have to admit, is Deathloop. That has a cool art style. Redfall, no, not so much. On top of that, look at the cutscenes. What is a slideshow? It's like, what is going on? A PowerPoint presentation? Like, what? It's insane, right? Far Cry, they mentioned that this game is going to be similar to. No, well, look how Far Cry ended up being, didn't it? Even Far Cry games are far better than this. It's insane to think about this. A Ubisoft game is better than an Xbox game. Sorry, Bethesda/Xbox game. It's insane. Arcane included. Jesus. This is insane. It's like, what happened? Xbox, Arcane, Bethesda. What in the world has happened to this? Is this going to be the same thing? Is this going to be a trend now? Is this going to be normal coming from Bethesda? Is this going to be normal? It's going to be normal coming from Arcane? Like, because that just seems like the case. Deathloop already kind of went down a little bit because, you know, we all know that those the people that got an opportunity to play the game early, they said like giving it a 10 out of 10. Get out of here. That game's not a 10. I'm not sure where the hell they get it with such a like dog shit AI. And then now Redfall completely drops the ball, and then finally everybody agrees that this game is like shouldn't even be made. It's a bad game. It's not a poor game. It's not a disappointment. It's a genuine bad game. It sucks. It genuinely does. And you see, like, because it sucks for me since I'm a PlayStation fan, right? I covered news about PlayStation, What sucks about this, that PlayStation may be a little more anti-consumer because they know that the fact that they are on top, they're number one, and Microsoft cannot keep up. All Microsoft does is spend money on acquiring studios. But PlayStation, they spend all their money on their first-party games. And you see why there's such a high quality on PlayStation exclusive games comparing that to what Microsoft pumps out. And that genuinely sucks. Microsoft needs to stop their gears on these acquisitions, stop with them, and put all the money and their funds into the first-party games. Give it to Bethesda, give it to Arcane Studios, so this issue does not happen again. But studios, and Microsoft included, they know for a fact that they don't need to do this. Because there are fools such as people that say Game Pass is an incredible value for a lot of people, and that mindset developers have as well. So that's why they're not gonna put all the time and effort, like 100% or even 99%, into their games that they develop, because they're knowing that the fact that they're gonna get their money's worth no matter how bad or good the game is. If the game is bad, they're gonna get their money because it's Microsoft. You see, there's no stake. That's the problem. They need to find something of an issue. They need to find a deadline. They need to be controlled, disciplined, anything. They need to have a creative vision. This is why sometimes, and actually, hell, I even say most of the times, when the developers have no publishers, have no money, no funds, and they don't have much of a deadline because they don't need to meet that criteria, and as such, they need to be a lot more creative in their vision, and they have to make sure that they're able to actually craft a game or something up to that, up to that scale that they're expecting it. It could be small game, could be big game, doesn't matter, right? And because of this, they have to think about this. They become more creative in their thought process, and with the creativity comes with incredible games, with the development that they go through. And as such, when you have too much money and you know there's going to be no repercussions, all Microsoft could do is simply fire all the developers. But that's the only mind process and thinking process, I should say, that could be a problem for the developers that are working on this game. But again, I don't think it's that the developers are the issue here or the employees. I don't think so. I think it's the higher-ups. I think it's the management issue. That's what I said. Stop with the acquisition and start pouring all your funds. Put in like billions. Put in that 70 billion that you want to acquire Activision. Pay them up with 3 billion, because they wasted time that you had to go through. Stop acquiring them because it's not going to be anything worth it anyway. And put all your money, all that 70 billion, into Bethesda, into your first party games. Give them time and discipline them, control them, look at what their process is so they don't be late in their deadlines. Because like if you keep delaying the game, eventually something's gonna happen to it that's just not gonna be foreseen at the time. That's why you need to make sure you have the control over these developers and see if they can meet that criteria, if they can meet that deadline on their process of the projects that they're doing, right? For art as an example, or it could be something different entirely. It doesn't matter, just as an example. I don't know, like I feel like, it's obvious. I feel like maybe it's just me, but it sucks because look, I want PlayStation to have a little bit of a competitor, like competition behind, like right there, right then. But they know for a fact that they're only ones, they're number one. They can get greedy because of this, and I'm worried because of this. PlayStation will become more anti-consumer, and since I'm a PlayStation, fan more or less, I just don't want this to happen. They gotta step it up, man. Management team, QA team, they gotta step all this stuff up. Like, it's unacceptable to release Redfall in the state that it was in, as if they didn't even know. And then they come up with these statements writing on the wall, on the Twitter, or on YouTube, whatever, and say like, we apologize, it didn't meet our expectations. We're sorry that we didn't meet your expectations and shit like that. Shut your trap and just make a good game. Seriously, delay it. Again, yet you already delayed it many times, delay it again. Get more discipline, get more management, get a QA team, fucking check your game. Like, what is this? Like, why can't, PlayStation make it, why can't Xbox do it the same? They got way more money including with that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, it's inexcusable. Redfall is a disaster, unfortunately, but we just have to face the facts. Let's see how Starfield fails or succeeds. Oh man. Like and subscribe. See you guys all. Have a wonderful day.